One of the enduring goals of biblical archaeology is to solve the one great mystery of the Bible, namely, how good is the text itself? How closely does the Isaiah which we read match the words which Isaiah himself must have said in Jerusalem 2,500 years ago?
In recent decades, vital clues have been unearthed which shed light on the Bible's degree of historical accuracy. Perhaps the most significant is a tiny silver scroll found in an ancient tomb near Jerusalem. Inscribed upon it is a priestly blessing identical to one cited in the Hebrew Bible. Dated to the 7th century before Christ, it was written 400 years before the oldest known biblical text.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Numbers 6:24.
It is word for word identical with the text which we have of that passage, and therefore it encourages us to have confidence in the validity of the received texts as it has been passed down.
In the history of biblical archaeology, one dramatic discovery stands alone. Ironically, it was not made by an archaeologist, but by a humble shepherd. On a sweltering day in 1947, a young Bedouin stumbled upon a nearly inaccessible cave in the rugged cliffs overlooking the Dead Sea. Inside, within several earthen jars, he found the Dead Sea Scrolls. By sheer accident, he had discovered an ancient library illuminating the very origins of Jewish faith. Among the 800 scrolls are the oldest known versions of all but one of the books of the Hebrew Bible. The rest offer a fascinating glimpse into the religious climate into which Jesus was born. For over 40 years, scholars have been carefully reconstructing the thousands of tiny fragments of this ancient jigsaw puzzle. Only now are the scrolls beginning to yield their secrets. In their quest for such biblical wonders, archaeologists come equipped with the exacting techniques of an established science. But it was not always so. A century ago, those who dug here were mere amateurs, with no scientific discipline to guide them. How did biblical archaeology come into being? Who invented the means to explore our biblical roots? In the late 19th century, pioneers in a new discipline called archaeology were drawn to the Holy Land. Their goal, to determine the accuracy of the history chronicled in the Bible. Foremost among these trailblazing archaeologists was an eccentric British surveyor, Sir William Flinders Petrie. Gifted with a rare genius, Petrie was destined to discover the archaeological key to probing the mysteries of the Bible. Petrie's towering intellect, however, was accompanied by an equally prodigious sense of the bizarre.
As great an impact as he had on the discipline, and as important as he was in the development of archaeology in the Holy Land, he was a bit of a nut. I think we'd have to admit that.
Petrie exhibited his eccentricity on his maiden expedition in 1880 to survey the Great Pyramids of Egypt.
Petrie was the first one to measure the pyramids. And the only way the Egyptians let him measure the pyramids, 100 people had tried it before, and they'd been chased out and stoned and sometimes killed, was that Petrie, this strange, small man with a full white beard and bright blue eyes, measured the pyramids in Egypt whilst wearing a ballerina's tutu. This little funny, frilly little dress and tights. Because he was a lunatic. And he benefited from all the protections which lunatics have in Eastern societies.
Despite Petrie's oddity of character, he possessed the disciplined mind of a scientific genius. As he shifted his focus from Egypt to the Holy Land, he made two breakthrough discoveries. He recognized the importance of what those before him had ignored: earthen mounds dotting the landscape, which appeared to be natural features of topography. But what others had assumed to be creations of nature, Petrie recognized as the ancient debris of man. Petrie's discovery became known as the Tell, the accumulation of multiple settlements, each one built on the ruins of an earlier community.
He understood, as many did not before him, that these mounds, these tells, these buried cities in Palestine had been formed layer after layer, one above the other. And the deeper you go, the earlier you go.
Petrie's subsequent discovery was revolutionary. Buried within the strata of the Holy Land, he discovered the key to reconstructing a chronology of all of biblical history. Once again, his observant eye perceived the significance of what others had considered worthless. In the humblest of man-made objects, pottery, he saw archaeological treasure. Each layer in which he dug contained its own unique type of ceramics. Each type was a product of a distinct generation of artisans from the world of the Bible.
The styles, the shapes, the forms, the decoration, the polishing changes from time to time. And you could put these in a sequence and get a relative dating, which he called sequence dating. This is the most important tool for dating ancient Near Eastern archaeological levels. Petrie is responsible for that, and that's why he's rightly called the father of Palestinian archaeology.
In 1943, Sir Flinders Petrie died at the age of 91, after making unusual arrangements for his rare genius to transcend the grave.